Do you ever find yourself overloaded, reactive, and operating at just the speed of light and calling it normal life? Let's put a stop to that today. My great business friend and ops strategist, Jillian Dolberry, is here to help us sort out the real fires from the things that feel urgent, but it's a fake sense of urgency. And she's going to help us find what the few actions are that actually move the needle, but yet that don't burn us out. This is such a great conversation. Let's get going. Hey there, creative business owners. Welcome to the Higher Purpose Marketing Strategy Podcast. I'm Ashley Conway, and for over 20 years, I've been helping creative businesses as a marketing expert and copywriter. If you've ever felt like your branding or marketing is holding back your business's growth, and you're over being on the DIY hamster wheel, you're in the right place. Each week, I'll walk you through simple, story-filled strategies to build a harmonious marketing system that attracts your ideal high-paying clients without the overwhelm. Ready to make marketing work for you? Let's go. Jillian Dolberry is an ops consultant and team strategist for women entrepreneurs, and she's the host of the Grace-Filled CEO podcast. In addition to devoting her heart and time to her family, she helps busy women honor their values and find consistent grace while trying to leave every business better than she found it. Jillian has become a master of setting boundaries, streamlining systems, and increasing profit from the inside out, as well as navigating hard conversations with her honor everyone in the room approach. Here we are in our conversation together. I am so excited that you all get the pleasure, the great pleasure of hearing from my friend Jillian. Let me tell you about how we met. So we met through a mutual friend, and I kind of knew with this friend, like anybody she likes, I'm going to like. And then I got to know Jillian for myself, and that turned out to be more than true. She is one of the kindest and wisest people and business owners that I know, and I'm excited for you all to get to know her a little bit in this conversation. So today we're going to talk about time. This is something I think as women, as moms, as business owners, any combination of those, we struggle with. We never seem to have enough time, and we always have more to do than what we have time. So before we kind of get into the meat of this, and I just let Jillian wow us all as she does, let's start with something fun. Okay, Jilly, what's one thing that's currently on your plate in life and business, whatever, that is definitely worth your time this week?
Worth my time this week.
And I'll give you a second to think about it because I know I'm springing this on you. Mine is, so my 7-year-old is very interested in taking hip hop classes. So we tried one last week.
I love that.
Oh, she's in it. She's so in it with the shoulders, like because she has attitude in spades. So this week we're trying one that's a little closer to home and a little less traffic at rush hour. But she's like, she prays on the way to school, let mommy sign me up for hip hop.
Jesus, these hips don't lie.
A little baby Shakira.
I love that so much.
What about you?
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of the daughter piece. We're currently working on writing our name properly. She's in kindergarten, and we're working on spacing issues. Mm-hmm. And we're also working on memorizing our phone number and address. And I wish that we had worked on this far before this moment, because she's so interested with all the other things of kindergarten and not this. So, but that's something that we work on when we drive home from school, in the mornings while we're eating breakfast, and in the afternoons after we get home from school. And she's completely uninterested, but I do know that it's important. So we're really trying to spend our time like being patient with her. And I came up with a new song about it. Like, I'm really trying to get creative here, but she seems pretty uninterested and unimpressed.
I feel like the address is the hard part. Even my husband will be like, wait, what's our zip code? Like, dude, we've lived here for 5 years.
Right?
Why
I
do
know.
you need
Well,
an assist?
she's done pretty good with the address, but the phone number keeps throwing her for a loop. And I'm like, and I'll like say it to her and she'll repeat it. And then I'm like, okay, now tell me again. She's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, this is a lost cause.
As long as she doesn't get lost, maybe it'll be okay for a while.
Yeah, let's hope so. She is definitely always has an air tag attached to her.
I
So
like that. I think I'm gonna do that to Minnie Mouse in my house because it never fails. It's bedtime, and it's like I can't find Minnie.
oh
Crisis.
yes.
But I digress. So, you work with female business owners every day. What are the biggest signs that a business owner is spending time on the wrong things?
Oh, that's a great question. Spending time on the wrong things looks like feeling chaotic, feeling stressed, a super long to-do list that you don't accomplish every day. And that just keeps like adding. It's almost like this long running list that you keep adding to every day and you keep working yourself down, but it's getting longer, faster than you're actually getting through it. Um, Overwhelm and just feeling like it's not sustainable. I think in our gut, sometimes it's hard to put that word to it, like lack of sustainability, because at the end of the day, like we still love what we do and we still want to do it. But when we get real with ourselves on how we're operating, and let me just back up for a minute, because as women, it's like we are conditioned to survive and keep going and keep preparing,
Mhm.
planning, and keep everyone, not just ours, but everyone's heads above water.
Yes.
Even if we're pushing their heads above water while ours is drowning, right? Like that's usually how it goes. And so I actually had, you and I talk offhanded in other conversations about health all the time.
Mhm.
And um, I once had a conversation with a thyroid doctor, and he said, "Do you ever have problems getting out of bed in the morning, like because of fatigue?" And I said, "Well, no, I have to get out of bed in the morning, and I have, to get the kids ready for school, and I have to cook them breakfast." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well then you're fine." And then it was like later down the road where a female doctor, I told her like that about that conversation, and she said, "Well, of course he didn't understand that." That was a really silly question for him to ask you. And
Yes.
it's like moments like that where you're like, we are so conditioned to react to urgency over choices that have bigger impact and bigger impact down the road for ourselves and for other people and for our businesses, that we're just so reactive. And that's a good trait to have. It's not a bad thing to be reactive when there's a fire and put out the fire, but we have a hard time discerning sometimes what is an actual fire, what is actually going to burn the place down versus what just feels loud and urgent in the moment. And so when we start to feel like our values are like competing against each other or causing friction with each other, well, this feels important, but this also feels important, and they're fighting. Those are definitely signs of not spending our time on the right things.
That's a really good point because I do think it feels, I mean, in my experience, normal to be overloaded, to be trying to do it all, to have equally important things going. And it's just like, well, the solution is to figure out a way to do it all, to stay up later, to do some on the weekends, I mean, and I'm totally like telling you about my life now, because well, this is just mine to do and I'm capable and I can get it done. And we kind of live under that, even at the cost to ourselves and our families and all the other things in our lives.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Another piece of that though is like sometimes like we have a lot of messages coming in. We consume a lot of messages. You can do whatever you put your mind to. If you can dream it, you can do it. If you build it, they will come. Or if you have the same hours in a day as Beyonce, or like there's like so
Yep.
many different like cheeky little phrases that we are told, and even things like you can have it all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love the inspiration that comes with that, but at the same time, it's like I don't want it all. Like we have to understand our hearts and understand ourselves, what's going to make us sustain, like what's going to sustain our own physical bodies, our own selves. And then we use that in our business, because our business is a reflection of how we're actually treating ourselves.
I saw something, no disrespect to Sarah Blakely. I saw something on Instagram a few months ago that really fired me up. And she was holding a coffee cup in front of her face and it said, "Winners hustle." And it was something about, like her caption was like, "Losers just kind of take it easy. Winners like make a way no matter what to have everything that they want." And I'm like, that's the problem, because we've all been getting fed that message for decades that we're all trying to live like that. And even it coming from another woman made it even worse. A woman who is a mother, who is obviously a very successful business owner. I'm like, you are perpetrating this message that we do have to do it all and we have to do it all well. And the way to do all of that is just to hustle more. And that's, you can do that for a short term. But let me tell you, as an almost 43-year-old, you're going to feel that at some point.
Well, and here's the thing. I work extremely hard when I work, right? Like we had a meeting with a coach the other day, and this coach said, do you lack knowledge, or do you lack work ethic, or do you lack uh, ethics? And we were kind of going through a whole exercise about this. And a lot of people were like, well, I lack work ethic. And I was like, actually, no, I don't. I don't. But part of that decision of saying that I don't lack work ethic is because I work hard at everything that I do. However, I do my very best to put my energy where it's best placed. And when that happens, I'm able to work super hard and not feel depleted and not sacrifice the things that are most important to me. I think that when we start a business and start to grow it, we start to feel like, okay, I created this business. I started it because I loved what I was doing and I wanted the freedom and the flexibility. But eventually it gets to a point to where we start making decisions where we have to compromise the reasons why we actually started the business. And if we're not making those decisions well in the beginning or in the small moments or in the quiet moments, then when it does get bigger, it's like we create this path in our minds of like, this is only possible if I sacrifice, if I only work till midnight, if I travel all over the world 180 days of the year. And I just personally feel icked out by the idea that it is one path to success.
Mm.
I don't buy that.
I love that. I love that across the board. There's not, and it's not because it's not just for business. There's not one path to success in anything.
Right.
I love
Exactly.
that philosophy. Oh, see, you all don't even know. It's like Jillian Yoda has showed up. Prepare your hearts.
You're really playing this up. I hope I can live to the expectation.
You always do. Even if we're just like, chatting on Voxer, I'm always like, oh, I needed that. Because that is not, I think, naturally hard charging. Like I'll just burn myself to the core. So it's always good to have somebody in my life that's like, I mean, are you giving yourself grace? Is that the only way? And that is the voice that you are.
Oh, well, that's very kind. Thank you.
So, what questions should a business owner ask herself if she's trying to decide, is this, she knows I'm strapped for time. I can't keep holding all of these things. What does she ask to know? Is this particular thing on my plate worth my time?
That's a great question. So I'm going to give you three questions to kind of ask yourself, but then I'm also going to kind of back up and explain some context of how you're going to ask those questions and how you're going to position your mind and your heart as you ask them. So the questions I want you to ask yourself are, does this move me toward my goal, my top goals right now? Have some priorities in place. The second question is, am I the only one who can do this effectively? The third question is, will the impact outweigh the effort? Meaning, is there impact down the road that this could reap the benefits of that isn't directly attached to the effort in this moment? Or, the comparison of that is like, is it oh, well, my effort now is just going to check a box, or is my effort now going to build a relationship that then turns into a $10,000 client, right? So you have to kind of understand where you fall in those questions. So that's going to help you figure out if you need to keep the task, if you need to delegate it, or if you need to cut it completely. Now, as you kind of approach this from a mental, physical standpoint and like a heart position, I want you to think about a couple of different things. So, time and energy are not equitable. If you were to say, well, I spent 10 hours on my business last week, meaning like 10 hours of CEO time, or maybe it's 10 hours in total or 50 hours in your business. We are all on opposite ends of the spectrum all the time, right? Doesn't really matter where you fall. But however much time you spend is not the same as how much energy it takes you. So if you have to kind of be aware of how your energy levels spike when you do a specific thing, and you have to be aware of when they drop when you do a specific thing. So even doing like a little check in with yourself of like, okay, well, here's what I did last week. And this thing made me feel awful afterwards. Like I needed a nap, or I felt like I needed to veg out and disassociate after I did this thing. That is a sign that that thing does not need to be on your plate at all. Now, our businesses are not always in a place to hand off those things, right? But in the moment, before we even get to that point of like hiring somebody to take those things off of our plate, or bringing someone in on our team, or even handing it off to someone who already is on our team, we have to just like put it in a bucket and say, okay, I see you task, or I see you project, and I am labeling you as depleting of my energy, or whatever you want to call that. You need awareness around what is sucking the energy out of your day and what is building the energy of your day is a really, really powerful thing. And so when you can be aware of that for yourself and then answer these questions, you're able to quickly decide, well, that needs to go into my delegate bucket, or that is costing me time and costing me energy, and it's really not giving me any kind of return. So that just needs to go. We need to be okay with not doing everything. We need to be okay with an open loop. We need to be okay with saying no to something and to letting it go. Because not even if we feel bad, right? We feel guilty for some reason because we just conjure up ways to feel guilty about everything all the time, me included. I'm not immune to that. Even if we feel guilty about something, guilt implies that we've done something wrong. And sometimes if we forget to put something in our kids' lunchbox, or we forget to remind them about the test that they have, well, that's actually, we could go on a whole rant about responsibility and all those things. Yeah. But it's my first inclination to say, oh, I need to remember to do that. And if I forget to remember, or if I forget to remind somebody, or I forget to drop the library books off, or I forget to text a friend or something like that, like I immediately feel guilty, like I've done something wrong.
Yes.
And that then puts me in a mental space of, well, you dummy, like, and then it perpetuates this negative self-talk, and it puts me in a really bad place to where it doesn't really matter if I then focus on the good energy things, because my energy is just here. Right. I've got no energy to give because I've just talked badly about myself to myself all day long. And not everybody struggles with that. Okay. I recognize that. But if you are somebody that struggles with that negative self-talk, being able to be aware of how your energy is fluctuating throughout the day, whether it be times of day, what you're eating, times of your cycle, like the awareness around that is so much power. You don't have to do any crazy formats or schedules or anything to see impact. Impact comes from awareness. And if we see it that way and we say, okay, well, I actually don't need to check these 12 things off of my list today to receive impact, if I just have awareness around how I could be better tomorrow, or how I could be kinder to myself tomorrow, or how I could give myself more grace tomorrow, then that is going to be the most impactful thing you did that day.
Oh, Yes, I feel like okay, so there was a sorority when I was in college, and they would do the finger snap thing when something happened that they like. I'm always tempted to do that in church, but it's, like, really not the place. Like, and he won't understand what I'm doing. Um, that is so good. It's like we do because the traditional way is to, like, pour your time into figuring out these time management, productivity strategies, like working time blocks and, um, like the 25 minutes on and 15 off, or however you want to do it. Like, we're trying to figure out how to get more done in a short amount of time, but you're coming at it from like time is not as important maybe as energy in a lot of times. And that, I mean, that is gold to me. And you know what? That's also usually pretty easy to identify. Like, is this recharging me, this thing that I'm doing, or is this draining me? So how often should we do that? To look at, I mean, I'm guessing that starts with like, look at what you've done over the past week or whatever it is, look at your schedule and, reviewing those activities. How often should we do it?
I really feel like, well, I would say, I want to say weekly, but I know that sometimes that's not feasible. I
Mhm.
think you've got to think about, when does it make sense for me to block off an hour of my time to audit myself as the CEO of this company,
Mhm.
and to pour into myself. Where's my awareness hour, right? Where can you block that in somewhere where you really just say, here's what I did, and here's what drained me, and here's what made me feel bad about myself. Here's where I think I could give myself more grace. Here's where I could have done something differently. Just we push that away because one, it feels like a waste of time
Mhm. Yeah.
because we feel more valuable the more we output. But the more we actually refill ourselves with and grow from that, the more capacity we have to grow our business. And what we're doing is, instead of really training ourselves to be strong, like strengthening the muscle of capacity, we think that that means doing more,
Mhm.
outputting more. But
Right.
really, what that means is being more aware of who you are and how you operate, and really connecting with ourselves and our goals of like what we want this business to be, what God is telling us this business needs to be, and realigning with what that is. The opposite of that is saying, okay, well, what techniques can I try to get more done during the day? I'm scattered all over the place, and I just can't seem to focus on one little thing because I've got 20 million things on my list that I need to be doing and that need to be done by tomorrow. And we have to start asking ourselves the questions of like, one, do I have to be the one to do that? And two, what happens if it doesn't get done tomorrow?
Right.
But in our minds, we will hold on to these 12 things have to get done today, when really maybe two of them do. Two of them
Guilty.
need, yeah, two of them need to be done. And also, none of us, who I would assume, nobody who's listening to this runs a business that saves lives. Maybe you do. And if you do, I apologize. I'm not trying to lump you into our group of people, but like, we do not own ambulances. We're not saving lives. And so if something is pushed back a little bit or put on the roster for the next day, or maybe it gets cut off the list, no one's going to die.
Right.
But you might die a little bit
Yeah.
because, like,
Because it
if
feels
there's too
everything's
much on
so
your list,
important.
you're killing yourself a little bit, and you're
Yeah.
killing your capacity. It's like, another analogy would be, if you want to get stronger in the gym, are you gonna go and just like eat a bunch of Skittles, or are you gonna go and eat a bunch of steaks?
Taste the rainbow.
Eat the
Sorry, melt
rainbow.
it.
I mean, I would love, to eat Skittles and do that, but like, no, I need nutrients to actually support my body to get stronger,
Yes.
instead of these little things that will give me little spurts of energy.
Hi, I'm Francesca, and I want to tell you about something great my mom made for Creative business owners like you. It's called Marketing 360. It's a complete checkup of your marketing, from your website to your social media to the emails you send. My mom will tell you what's working, what's not, and what to fix so you can get more of your best clients. If your marketing feels messy or confusing, Marketing 360 will help you feel clear and confident again. Want to be the first one to know when it launches? Text the word Be Weird, that's BEWEIRD, to 55444. You'll get all the details before anyone else.
So what, and I wonder if part of that, like the hesitance to, and this is more me, like the hesitance to look at, these are the things, yeah, I can identify these are the things that are more draining than others, but then it's kind of like, so what happens next? I know some of those things have to stay with me, or it's like, oh my gosh, do I now have to figure out how to train someone to do these, to delegate this to someone, like to find the right person to bring in to do this? Like it becomes a project then.
Mm-hmm. It becomes more on your plate. I get it. Yeah.
Yes.
Because
So what can we do? What can we do for ourselves? Because in the long run, it will be helpful and it will take away some of that drain that is weighing us down.
yeah, the biggest problem here is the belief that we have around handing something off. The the biggest reason why we don't want to do it is because subconsciously, I think a lot of us believe that if we're not doing it well or we're not doing it our way, then it's not getting done well. Or if we're not the ones doing it, then we can't control the outcome of it. Or if we're not doing it, then where does our value come from? How am I adding value to this business if I'm not doing everything? And the reality and the truth to that is that you have more value to give when you build the solution for the person that you're helping. You have more value to give when you have a deeper connection with the Lord and you create the space for you guys to partner in your business. You have more capacity and value to give when you're able to go and do the deeper work so that you can hand it off to someone else to do it for you. We are also very emotionally attached to our businesses. It's
Yes.
ridiculous. Not in a bad way, like we shouldn't be emotionally attached. We're emotionally attached because we care.
Mm-hmm.
And we're women. And women approach business completely differently than men. And so that's another thing is when we look at the business principles, we're like, oh, I'm not subscribing to that because that, like, those were created by white men with wives at home.
Right.
The level of privilege there is unreal.
It absolutely is.
And so when we look at those business principles and we read about them in books, and like there are so many business books written, I would say 98% of the business books that we read were written by men.
Right.
And when I Google business books that are written by women, they're actually like half business or like 30% business and more of like a memoir or them telling their story, or it's more about an inspirational piece. It doesn't talk about how they have taken these principles and modified them and morphed them into something that does work for women like us.
True.
That's the message we need.
And even a good man that has good things to share, you can't just automatically take what he has and, you know, put that hat on or whatever it is over your life and think it's going to work the exact same way. I mean, we can take, you know, it's like chew the meat, spit out the bones. We can take parts of what they say and it can be very valuable, but it's not, you're right. It's not going to work the exact same way, because even the men who are enlightened and want to understand the way women work, it's very difficult for them because you just don't know unless you know.
Our brains work completely differently. So let's give ourselves the permission to do it differently. And Ashley, my brain is different than your brain.
Right.
My home life is different than your home life.
Yes.
My goals are different than your goals. My wants are different than your wants. My relationship with God, what we talk about, is different than your relationship with God and what you talk about. And it's just unrealistic to think that we follow all of these patterns and templates and what everyone else is doing. And we're all concerned about
Yes.
what everyone else is doing and trying to get ahead and trying to buy the template because it's going to make things simpler on us and it's going to save us 10 hours or it's going to whatever, the promises of it. When in reality, our biggest problem is that we don't believe that we're worthy of handing it off. We don't believe that our energy is so important to the sustainability of us as people, human beings, and in our business. Like the belief around how we spend our time, how much time we're spending in our business, and how we look at that as a scale of how well we're doing. When in reality, I think we should probably position the conversation to say, I worked a full day today, whatever that means to you. And then I got to take my kids to soccer practice and watch them. And I didn't feel the need to scroll through my phone and disassociate because I didn't need that dopamine hit. I was so energized by the things that I got to do at work today and the things that I got to do to lead this company that I was able to then take all that built up energy and pour it out into my real life because I focused on the right things in my business. Versus if I start the day at a 10 and I pour everything out because I'm doing all the wrong things and all the energy is depleted by the time I've got to do home life stuff, then I am just surviving.
Yes.
And listen, not every day is going to be the same. There are going to be days that you still are surviving, but you're going to notice a different when you pay attention to how your energy moves and the things that you do in your business and how it fluctuates based off of the task or the type of task that you do. When you know better, you do better. And so there's not this magic formula of how we get there. It's about being in tune with ourselves, giving ourselves permission to believe something different, believe something more positive, and give ourselves what we actually need to be successful and actually sustain through this season of life.
That's so good. And it makes me think in so many, I talked to Erica a few weeks ago about finances and, I'm approaching things from a marketing perspective, but I keep, no matter what the area is, and, we're talking more about how you operate your business now. It's like so many experts out there push formulas and templates. And the deeper I get into business, the more years, it's like, formulas are not going to work. Cookie cutter, one size fits all, like solutions that are easy to sell and easy for us to buy are a lot of times going to leave us disappointed because maybe it gave us a few tips, but it's not what we really need. We need something that fits who we are and what our business is and what our goals are and values and all of these things. And that's all very unique. Like you said, even people in the same industry or even people, you and I have a lot of similar values and things. It's still going to be unique based on us, but you're right. We have to choose to say, I don't have to follow a formula or the conventional route or whatever that is. And that's really hard because it seems like it's easier to go with the formula.
Well, when we're overwhelmed, women's brains are not black and white most of the time. And my husband explained it one time to me. He's like, I feel like if our brains were a floor plan, my floor plan would have 12 different rooms with doors. And your floor plan is just one big open room. And you're thinking about everything all the time. And he's like, but I'm only thinking about one thing all the time. And then when that thing is done, I think about the other thing. And then I just move to the next room. And he's like, I thought that was the most profound and like, okay, dude, you're getting it. Okay. You understand me. That's amazing. Shocker. So I appreciated that visual because he's right. We live in this area of gray where it's like, if our kids call us from school and they left their homework at home, our initial reaction is to be like, oh, I got to go take it to them. I
Yes.
cancel my day. I got to
Yes.
take it to them. And not saying that that's the right or wrong answer in how you approach parenting and responsibility for your kids, but that is an example of when something pops up that is urgent to someone else, automatically say it's urgent to us because we feel like that's what we're supposed to do.
100%. Yeah.
And so we live in this like gray area of not really, it's so subjective to everyone else around us and everyone else's needs. So when someone sells us a black and white solution, this is going to save you 10 hours when you apply this template.
Yes.
We're like, heck yeah, here's my money.
Mm-hmm.
And we get so excited about that. And then we open it up and we're like, well, but it does, how do I apply this to my business?
Yes.
Because we do value doing business our own way.
Yes.
But we also need that we need some clarity here.
Yes.
We need someone to say, this is going to work because my energy is so depleted. I need this to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we like, that's why we just buy these little like $30 template here, $70 template there, or whatever. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that when someone sells you that, because I have a template for sale and it does help people. But what I tell people is this is a guide.
Right.
This is an idea for you to consider in how you use it in your business. But your business is different than this person's business. And so here's how I would use it. But everything needs to be taken. Like if you're looking at a buffet, you don't need to eat everything on the buffet. You pick and choose what you need to eat, what you
You're
want.
breaking some people's strategy here. Some people want to go to the buffet.
I know. I'm sorry. Guilty. But I
yeah.
mean, it's true. Like, if we're really going to do business better than the generation before us, or more intentional and more spiritual, and just in a way that supports people, in a way that supports women, then we've got to kind of like question a couple of things out there, right, and ask ourselves questions and learn more about ourselves, become more aware of why we're making decisions, how we're making decisions, because that how we make decisions in our business is the center of where all of these other challenges are coming from.
100%. And I find, like I have purchased some really good courses in the past, but the ones that have made the most impact on my business are the ones where it's not just self-paced. Here's the course, go ahead, figure it out. It's the ones where I have interaction with the people who created it. And I can ask them like, how do I apply this to my specific situation? Because it's never cookie cutter. So I already know somebody is going to want to know, how do we get more of Jillian? How do they get your eyes on their business? What does that look like? What do you offer, girl?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different tiers of ways that we could work together. If you're not quite ready to be in a one-on-one capacity, I do have a team task tracker. This is a goal for people or a tool for people to use where they're able to basically look at their list of responsibilities and say, I want to delegate that. I want to delegate that. I want to delegate that. And when this tracker is interactive, so they're able to click those things, it'll move it to another side of the spreadsheet, and it'll basically outline the things that you're going to hand off to somebody. And then it has some other tools to track the success of what those things could be in handing that off. And then there's KPIs attached to each of those tasks. And the list is there. You don't have to add in your own tasks. You can, but that is something that people find really helpful as a visual of saying like, okay, well, here's all the things I do in my business, because oftentimes we don't always know everything we do because we do everything.
Right.
So this will help jog your memory and say like, okay, well, I do that. Yes, I do this. And then it'll also help you decide what are the best things to hand off. So that is a resource for people. You can find that at jilliandolberry.com/team task tracker. And then I also obviously offer one-on-one work and support together, but one thing that I'm doing right now is called a workload breakthrough. And
Hmm.
it's basically we work together for a couple of weeks. That's the turnaround time for it. But we do a deep dive in how you're spending your time. And then we provide a report to say, like, here's how you're spending your time today. Here's what you need to get off of your plate because of energy depletion.
Hmm.
And you're able to provide graphs and supportive materials to say, if you were to delegate these things, here's where your business could be. And so it's a really good, I would call it a breakthrough because it is a visual and mental breakthrough for people who just cannot get out of the cycle of doing everything themselves, even if they have people on their team.
Right.
So this is not limited to people who don't have anyone on their team, and it's not limited to people who do. It is something that, and I have clients who we will work together for a short time, and they're like, I feel really good, I feel really streamlined, I feel like I'm making all the right decisions. Then they come back because they're like, I feel like the peace has left my business again. And I really
Mm.
need your eyes on this because you understand me, you understand my values, you understand what I need, and you're able to tell me these things in such a grace filled way that allows me to shed them easily. Right.
Right.
And so there's multiple ways to work together, but that is one of my favorites because we give you visuals
Right,
of,
which is motivating to, like, actually make a change because it's like, I
yeah,
have something objective that shows me, like, here's the hard data. This is a good decision that I can go, move forward with.
yeah, because feelings aren't truth. You could
Right.
feel overwhelmed on something, but internally you're like, this is my fault somewhere.
Yeah, I could fix
Mhm.
this on my own. I could
I
do
can
this
fix this on
differently.
my own. Yes, exactly. Our minds play tricks on us sometimes.
Right.
But there's also when you slow down long enough to learn about yourself and become aware, you begin to start trusting yourself again. And then that creates a new relationship with yourself as the CEO where you can make better, wiser decisions for yourself and your business.
Right, and it's so good to have, like, a third party, an objective person to come along and then validate, what we are feeling. Yes, you are doing too much. Yes, this could be passed on to somebody else instead of, sometimes I will think these things and I'm like, am I being dramatic? Am I being too much? Am I overanalyzing this? Like questioning myself.
Yeah.
And then I just buckle down and keep going. And this is a really good solution to have somebody come in and say, let me be your guide through this.
Hmm. Absolutely. And love doing that with people because it does give us the opportunity to sit down together. And one thing that I would say is makes a call with me and my team unique is you get to just like brain dump. Tell me all the things, right? And then I'm going to tell you what you're telling me that you're not telling me.
Mhm.
What are your words actually saying?
Yeah, you're
What are
great at that.
and there's so much intuition that we're able to practice there, and it exposes and brings things to light that you didn't realize you were doing to like self-sabotage yourself and in your business. And so it's a very enlightening experience, and there's so much reward in that too because not only because once you're aware of those things, you're like, "Oh, well, I can now accomplish X, Y, and Z, or my mental capacity is 10 times what it was before because I am now aware that I have been holding on to this thing and it's actually been draining me." And there's just so
Right.
much that can come from it's like it is the kickoff point of you doing your business differently and better and more aligned with who you are as a person. So I really encourage people to reach out about that. And you can just schedule a 15-minute chat and we can talk about it or we can get to know each other, whatever that looks like. But you can do that at jilliandolberry.com/contact.
I love that so much. I know people are gonna go do that. Okay, so here's the last thing before we end our conversation. If, you want a business owner to remember one thing from this conversation, to take away one thing, what is that?
Oh man, I think I'm just gonna like really speak from my heart for a second.
Mhm.
You're not broken, and the way you're doing business is not broken. the things that you've been taught about how to do business, those are broken. And so if anyone could like take a step today and like even borrow this from me, give yourself permission to look at it differently. Give yourself permission to give yourself grace or talk positively to yourself or to pat yourself on the back. The fact, if anyone has made it to this point in this podcast recording and they're like, I love this, I want to put it into action, I want to just really take this and run with it, but then they start to get overwhelmed with like, okay, but I need to actually go to Jillian's website and contact her. And then I need to go back and listen to this or grab the transcript and listen to all the questions that she said again. Like, you don't need to do any of that in this very moment. What you do need to do is just like put your hand on your heart and tell yourself you're doing a good job. Because the kinder we can be to ourselves, the quicker we're going to get back up. The quicker we're going to come back to that moment of being like, okay, like checking in with ourselves and giving ourselves what we need. These things that we've talked about today are basically the water and the sunlight for the garden. And oftentimes we like, we'll plant a seed and then it'll like be super hot outside. And we're like, oh, but I don't have time to water it. And I don't have like, I totally forgot that it was out there and been really busy with all these other things. And then we just like neglect it unintentionally, because these other things are important, because they were urgent, because I was needed here more than I was needed here. And that's just not always true in some situations. Again, we just kind of go, our energy and our doing and our time goes to what's urgent. And just really want you to challenge yourself to pause. And because no one's going to die if you pause and you say like, okay, what's the best use of my time today? What's the best use of my energy in this moment? Am I feeling chaotic? Okay, let me realign with one stable thing. You know, like it's just about like that connection with each other and with ourselves. So as someone listens to this and wants to take action, all I want them to do in this moment is to just give themselves permission to just pause for a second and give themselves some gratitude. Give themselves a little grace. Tell them something positive about themselves. You know, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think we forget, but we are just as important as our clients, our P&L, all of these, our to-do list. We are really more important than all of those things because none of those things could exist without us.
Exactly.
This has been an epic conversation. I hope it has encouraged all of you all as much as it has me. I haven't teared up, but it was close on a couple ones, so made it. And you can catch Jillian. She mentioned her website. You can also connect with her on Instagram at Jillian Dolberry. I'll have all of those links in the show notes. And this has been so wonderful. I will chat with all of you all next week. Thanks for listening to today's show. For all things podcast, including transcripts, extra resources, and a place to submit questions for the show, visit higherpurposemarketingstrategy.com. I'd also love for you to do me 2 quick favors. 1, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and 2, share this episode with your colleagues. And that's a wrap. Meet you back here next week.